coming to you from the home of the mini trees, inspirational, motivational, so come along with us.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Pixel Talk. This week's edition brings you an interview with Mr. Michael Lopp, the head of engineering at Pinterest. Shannon Madden's segment on the Ethics Bowl, and Andrew Marianos' update on the Australian Open. Hello, my name is Tej Singh and I'm broadcasting from New Jersey on behalf of Stanford Online High School students from around the globe. So, hello world. With us here today is Mr. Lopp, the head of engineering at Pinterest. So Mr. Lopp, you've worked at notable companies like Apple and Palantir before. What about Pinterest made you switch?
Yeah, so like you said, I was at Palantir for about 3.5 years, and then about 8.5 years before that, I was working at Apple. Palantir, I had a really good experience there. It's a very strong engineering culture, but I wanted to work on user-facing product again, and Pinterest is obviously a very consumer-facing product, and it was time for me to start doing that again. So also my role at Palantir wasn't all engineering, and in the current gig, I'm responsible for all of engineering, and I'm an engineer, so I like to hang with my people.
Yeah, that's impressive, especially since you're in charge of a company that is used by over 100 million people every month. So what are some challenges related to this that you face at work every day?
The challenges vary, but some of the big ones are growing a lot. When we added, about 70% of engineering has been added since I arrived. And there's a lot of folks. The team is around 350 or so now going into the new year. And that's a lot of new engineers. And what was easy at 100 is not infinitely harder, but is exponentially harder when you get that bigger. And it's simple things that you took for granted when you were small. So like communication and how we build things. There's just a lot more tax on the organism when there's a lot more people there. So the things that are challenges are like are really small when you were small, and now they're really big when we're bigger. So I have a lot of different challenges, and it varies day to day.
Yeah, seems interesting. So now transitioning to our segment related to high schoolers, since that's mainly what our audience is. How was your high school experience like? Did you have any particular teachers or courses that you loved from which you took away something that has stuck with you or helped you in life?
Yeah, I also write books, and I really think the power of writing is super important. I write a lot of email, which sounds like sort of a chore, but that, like I just said, the role of communication, especially at scale, is really important. So even though I'm an engineer, I think one of my stronger skills is my ability to actually communicate in writing, because writing is a great way to get a voice out to many people, and to clearly think through a problem. So I had my first year, my 9th grade year, I had an honors English class, and he was just brutal, Mr. Meredith, and he was brutal about syntax and making a rich story and a clear narrative. And it was one of my first classes I got really bad grades in, and I was like, whoa. And I really focused on that. So writing is something that I really think has augmented me as a leader over the years.
So is there one piece of advice that you wish someone would have told you in high school that you would like to share with our audience so they can take that and with them?
I think, what's the one piece of advice? It's be curious. I think that's the thing that both in high school and college that helped me a lot. And it's whenever I was really like curious about how a thing worked, because all these people are telling you these things and learn these things, but the burden is actually on you to understand those things. And that curiosity, even as a head of engineering at Pinterest, is something that is super valuable to me, is like, understand how it works, be rigorous about your understanding. And that's a muscle that you build in your brain over time. And it started in junior high and high school and continues on in college.
Yeah, so these habits obviously have been ingrained since the beginning, but now looking back, is there something that maybe you could have improved or in your high school experience that would have made it more enriching or better? Or for example, if you had more time, like 10 extra hours a week,
right.
allocate that to something specific that would help you now or even in the future?
Yeah, I think the thing that even now I still struggle with is that we as engineers, as problem solvers, the best part of solving a problem is that first like 30% of it where you're like, what am I doing here? And this is hard and I don't understand. And it's sort of it's actually the most interesting part of the problem is you're trying to understand how it all fits. The problem is that a lot of engineers, including myself, it's once you solve that first 30 or 60%, you believe that it's all solved. You've written the code, you finished the problem. And that last 40%, which is kind of boring, it's the quality, it's the error checking, it's sort of the debugging, it's finishing. And finishing is as important as starting. And we move in the Silicon Valley, we move at this incredible pace that starting is valued more than finishing, and finishing is equally important. And it's something, even now, it's hard. But I learned this from an editor that I had for one of my books. That editing pass, that finishing piece, it really makes the work so much better.
Yeah, like for example, I have a project done and I do 90% and there's still 90% a little more left to do. So transitioning to our like lighthearted segment, or related less to that, but more interesting questions in my opinion. If you could select one person from history and have them answer one question, who would you select and what would the question be?
Oh, one person, one question. Wow, I sort of thought of this more. I think Abraham Lincoln, and here's why. He had so many hard decisions, and I would like to ask him, how do you, it sounds really simple, but I think it's an interesting question. How do you make these hard decisions? What is the means by which you choose to do this or that when you know lives are at stake or the country is at stake? So I watch how different people make decisions and the process they go through. I think that would be it. I think it would be an interesting answer.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're alive, now the transitioning more to the present day, if you're alive and you were in an elevator with someone else who's currently living, who would you want to be in an elevator with?
Alive today, who's someone I'd be interested in talking with? I've been sort of battling with Microsoft for a lot of my career. But I think the new CEO of Microsoft is a really interesting human. And I think I'd like, if an elevator, I'd like 10 minutes to pick his brain. I saw him speak a couple weeks ago, and I think having watched Microsoft really kind of mess up for the last decade, I think he's got a fresh perspective, and I would love to pick his brain in the elevator.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting elevator ride. So now, if you could be any age for a week, what age would that be? And like why? So like in the teens, 20s, 30s?
For a week? For a week. What would I want to be for a week? That's a great question. I should have watched other interviews and see what they said. I felt like, when was it? I don't know, 30, I guess. Maybe about 25 or so for a week. And I would go I'm going to go mountain biking right after this. I'd be interested, and I feel like I'm pretty good right now, but I'd be interested in what my body would be like at 25, because I imagine I'd be like just this machine. So that would be fun. But that said, I'm very happy. I've always been happy with the current age that I'm at.
Yeah, I wish I was older. Okay. So now this is related to the news. Like since the Powerball lottery wasn't picked yesterday, now it's supposed to have a jackpot of 1.3 billion on Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you won, what would be the first thing you would do other than perhaps donating to charitable causes?
Let's see. I'd probably take care of all the houses in the respective family. Just like take that debt and get it off of, so people don't have to worry about that piece. So they could do that. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm sort of in love with Northern Italy. My wife and I love it there. So I would find a place in Northern Italy to purchase, and then I would hang out there and write a book.
Yeah, that'd be your third one. You've had two more books you've had, right? One about, yeah, I heard about them. They're really interesting. So it's a tradition of Pixel Talk to end these interviews with a short, lighthearted segment called This or That.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a series of fun questions to ask, and you either have two options to choose from. So would you like to participate? Okay.
Absolutely.
So passenger or driver?
Driver, definitely.
Credit card or cash?
Cash.
Antique or brand new?
Antique.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Save or spend?
Oh, my wife would hate this, but spend.
Would you rather be able to stop time or fly?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. That's I have to think about. Stop time or fly? Stop time. More upside there, I think.
Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
And so would you rather be able to read everyone's mind all the time or know their future?
Read their mind, because then you could predict their future.
Okay. And I've saved the best for last. Snapchat or Instagram?
Oh, Instagram by a mile.
Okay, so this brings us to the end of Pixel Talk. We'd like to thank Mr. Lopp for graciously sparing his time here at Pixel Talk and inspiring not only the Stanford OHS community, but youth around the country and even perhaps across the world. So thank you for being with us.
Pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, so a couple of weekends ago, on January 9th, 13 OHS sophomores, juniors, and seniors competed in the Northern California Regional Ethics Bowl competition. Our club, created at the beginning of the school year, participated in Ethics Bowl to promote civil conversation and debate on relevant issues using several moral theories as framework for these arguments. These controversial cases required close analysis on topics such as the Ice Bucket Challenge, Medicare and Medicaid coverage of transgender transitions, and the age requirement of voting. Hosted at the University of California, Santa Cruz, team members traveled all the way from the East Coast to participate. After 3 rounds of competition, semifinalists were finally announced. One of our teams competed in semifinalists against the team that ended up winning the whole competition. We are super excited to continue this club into the next school year and hope to see even more OHS students using their love of philosophy in this exciting and enjoyable competition.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Mariatos and I'm here to cover this week's sports section on Pixel Talk. The Australian Open tennis tournament is currently underway in Melbourne, Australia. One of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments of the year, all the top players in the world have converged on this prestigious site to compete for this year's title. In the men's division, world number 1 Novak Djokovic from Serbia and 5-time champion Roger Federer from Switzerland are heavy favorites to take the title in Melbourne, while American world number 1 Serena Williams seeks to continue her historic run to tie the legendary Steffi Graf for Grand Slam title count. Tune into ESPN to watch some of the action live as these great players battle it out down under.
Thanks for watching. Until then.